You are now tuned in to the Lineman Lounge, the world's thickest sports podcast, with your hosts, Mike and Evo.
Como están, bitches? This is the Lineman Lounge. I am Mike. That is Evo. It's Tuesday night. We have wrapped up week 4 of the NFL season. Our picks got better. They're not quite where we want them, but uptick in what we were able to do for the people. A lot of interesting football games where we were just a sea hair short of getting a cover that didn't happen, could have, should haves, and games that were absolutely pissed away by coaching staffs. But without further ado, let me bring in my guy, Evo. How you doing? Your Vikings are on a fucking roll. Game score does not indicate how well you guys handled that team. But how you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, man. Like for the NFL season, as it goes with my fantasy team and our picks, it's been terrible. But for my actual football team, it's been pretty fucking awesome. So I have that to lean on. And one before I die is all I want. And they look to be on a voyage on that path right now. So I'm pretty happy about that. But stoked to be here. Looking forward to going over this week's games. Week 4 is what I've been saying. That's where we start to really figure out who these teams are. Hopefully that will allow us to make better pick selections going forward, and better determinations of which side of the aisle should we be taking the points or dropping the points on these teams, because it's been a rough fucking first 4 games for us betting, at least.
Yeah, the first 4 weeks have not been spectacular. So let's just go ahead. Let's get it out of the way. Better week, like I said, but still, we're not there yet. We got a long way to go before we are there. You know what? 8-8. It's not bad. Not bad on a normal week, but like we're so far behind. We gotta start clipping these off at 11, 12 apiece to start making up a comeback. We talked about the Thursday night game a little bit on Sunday morning. Aubrey misses his first kick from 50 plus. Saves me on the plus 5.5. Browns, we're going to get into it. I don't want to fucking talk about that right now. Steelers go down. Good for the AFC North. I missed the early slate, just killed me. You did good in the early slate. Prime time was more where I hit this week. But 8-8 total, brother.
Yeah, I was going to tell you, in my notes, I actually had fade the Browns, and I didn't. Probably because Carnesy was with us, and I was like, yeah, we're all feeling good about the Browns and their chances this week. I'm just gonna ride with that. Big fucking mistake.
Yeah.
And then Aubrey fucking me. This easily could have been a 10-6 week for me, if Aubrey had done his job as a kicker. But I honestly don't really blame him. I blame Dallas and their coaching staff for not calling a fucking timeout and letting them set up correctly. And then I rode with the room for the Browns.
Yeah.
Which was a rough one.
Had Browns. I had Raiders on my bet. Then things changed. And it's like, oh man, the Raiders are missing so many guys for the show. I went Browns. I had to. And speaking of timeouts, Kevin Stefanski needs to figure out when to use them instead of using them frivolously. Because we could have had another chance in that game if we don't just blatantly piss away a timeout there at the end. But
I have a take on Kevin Stefanski for
okay.
when we get to your game. Being a former, not necessarily former fan of him, but obviously following him better as a Vikings coach throughout the years. I have a take, but we'll get to that when we get to that. So before we get into football, anything they need to go over youth sports wise?
Youth sports wise, no, not at the moment. We just got back. I mean, I should give a shout out to my middle child, Aubrey. She is an absolute fucking savage on the soccer field. This is, I think, her second year playing and is now being recruited to a travel team. She is so outrageously fast. It's absurd how much faster she is than everybody else she's out there with. I honestly I don't know how to feel about it. To watch a child be so good at something is kind of like holy shit. I got to make sure I don't mess it up for her because she is incredibly good.
Especially something that's not necessarily our wheelhouse.
Dude, I
The
have no idea
American
what the fuck I'm talking
soccer.
about with soccer.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
Yeah.
Hey, that's awesome for her. How old is she again now?
She is 6.
Being
Will turn
recruited to a
7 this summer.
traveling team?
Yeah, they want her on the 7U team.
That's wild. That's wild.
Yeah.
I never would have thought of traveling teams at that age, but hey, if she's good for it, like, might as well run it.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see how it all shakes out. But shout out to my middle one, Aubrey. Great job, baby.
Very cool. Very cool.
But otherwise,
Well,
U Sports, I know you got anything on Malachi?
no, I mean Malachi Cooper. We're a big fan of him on this show. Obviously, his dad is part of our trio and larger group. That's part of the Talk podcast underneath the No Sleeves Network. Um, we've been watching him for a long time now, and he's just continuing to grow and do great things on the football field out there in Alabama. Trying to post up as much as we can on the socials, cut ups and stuff of him absolutely dominating the offensive line. Uh, we for sure expect him to go places, go far. Um, and
Already had
and
a
he's
visit.
yeah, he's on the path right now, so that's really awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. But other than that, youth sports, I don't have anything else. I'm excited to talk about some football. I'm ready
Yeah.
to. I got football tomorrow night for G, but nothing on that front just yet.
Yep. Well, before we get into this last week's slate of games, uh, MLB playoffs are going on here very shortly. Your Guardians are in. Congratulations. Congratulations. I believe you have a bye. You don't have to obviously play in the wild card. You guys were good
We do
enough
not.
with
Yeah, we
that.
were very good. We were very good, much better than some other teams in the AL Central.
Yep. But in addition to that, MLB actually lost a legend, a non-Hall of Famer, but a legend over the past couple of days. Pete Rose dies at age 83. Hitting champion, I believe.
Yeah, all-time hits leader. I mean, Pete Rose is such an enigma of a person. Like he was amazing on the baseball diamond. Charlie Hustle was that dude, but he also maybe did some things that he should not have done. I believe that he should be in the Hall of Fame just because the record. I mean, his name's there with the hit lead, but I don't think that he was ever fucking point shaving on any games. It's tough when you're the all-time leader in hits. One of the most important statistics in the history of baseball is not in the Hall of Fame. Interesting life, but 83 is a hell of a run.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's tough. I understand why Hall of Fames and whatnot wouldn't want to allow players in. We just recently saw the stuff with Reggie Bush and the Heisman. Some of these accolades come with an expectation of chivalry and doing things the correct way. And obviously that's kind of what tarnished his name and his career was the alleged gambling and whatnot. So it sucks to not see him in that Hall of Fame though, because of just how impactful he was. His play on the actual baseball field was outstanding. It's tough to overlook that. In other news, we also lost another legend from the NBA in Dikembe Mutombo. What he's going to be most known for by our generation, probably.
Oh, for sure.
But one of the greats of basketball, a basketball legend in the NBA. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his actual name.
No.
Absolutely insane. Okay, you talked me into it. Dikembe Mutombo Muplondo Mukumba Jean-Jacques Wamutombo. And I hope I did you right, Dikembe.
That was a good try.
But 7'2", big man, did a lot of good things for the Congo and their basketball teams. But died at age 58.
Yeah.
I believe it was brain cancer.
Brain cancer.
Brain tumor.
Yeah.
So unfortunate to see a legend go like that. I honestly thought he was older,
I
but
thought he did. I thought he was too.
when you are that large of an enigma of a human, the physical body ages way harder when you are that huge of a
Yeah.
person. It's an unfortunate fact of life. But rest in peace to those two greats. We would be remiss not bringing up two legends who we lost on a sports podcast.
Yeah, we have to talk about him. Very sad, man. 58 is young. Like Pete Rose had a good run. 58 is really young for Mutombo. Sad to see him go. He will be remembered though. And listen, even if it's our generation with the no, like the finger wag, everybody who is our age, even a little older, a little younger, knows exactly what that is. Having a legacy like that is something that obviously we never get to see what kind of legacy we leave. But God, if you could reach back and look, I think everybody would be happy to leave a legacy like that. He will be remembered.
Absolutely.
So,
all right, brother, you ready to jump into week 4 of the NFL and our recap?
hell yeah. Let's get this thing going. We got baseball starting. Braves, Padres right now. Playoffs are underway, but I'm ready to recap the week that was week 4 of the NFL. Where do you want to start, brother? Go ahead and take us away.
So I'm just going to go off ESPN and run down their whole slate of games here. Thursday night's game, the Giants-Cowboys. We already talked on that. A close game, one that we didn't get the hook with if you took my bet.
Yeah.
The royal we, because of the missed field goal. But it still is something that we should talk about. Brings into question the validity of this Cowboys team and how good they are. Or are the Giants just kind of figuring things out a little bit more? You see a lot of stuff probably on your social media feed if you are following the Lineman Lounge that I've been posting on there, comparisons of Daniel Jones to quarterbacks like Jalen Hurts, and how his performances are very similar. Not fantastic, but not overly like train wreck right now.
Right.
The eye test when watching Daniel Jones is still pretty bad. His accuracy, especially deep down the field, is just not there. He's making bad decisions. But he is playing at a bottom level starting quarterback type of play right now. Obviously not worth his contract, but it's enough for the Giants to remain competitive. Obviously, they were able to get a win last week versus you. And then this week, they gave the Cowboys a fight. This was one of their closer matchups in recent years, only losing by 5 points. And a big part of it obviously has to go to Malik Neighbors, who is already showing that he's going to be one of the best wide receivers in this league. LSU just keeps churning out fucking all-stars at that wide receiver position.
Yeah, if you want a wide receiver, get one from LSU or Ohio State. They're all good. Close game. Giants, I think, are maybe a little bit better. Daniel Jones is playing not terrible. Like, he's playing good enough to win against teams that are not playing very well, for sure. They'll get their 5-6 wins. Daniel Jones will look adequate at times. I think they need to continue to play action and move the pocket for him because he looks a lot better when he's doing that. I don't want Daniel Jones sitting back and reading a defense.
No.
Unless the option for him to take off, unless he sees man and he can take off running. That's the only time I'd want that. But their game plans are getting a little better. Dayball is trying to figure out how to make Danny Dimes not look like a just complete bag ass and has done a decent job of that.
Yeah, it is kind of a catch-22 situation here. It's they want to play, they want to win, being Daboll, his coaching staff, and the GM Joe Shane, but they're going to be playing themselves potentially, if they do decent enough, out of a position to potentially take the top available quarterback, which they could hold on to Danny Dimes if they really want to. Obviously, there's an out in his contract this year, but they don't want to lose their jobs either. And if you have an absolute train wreck year, Shane and Daboll are probably one, if not both, are out the door, along with Danny Dimes. So it's an interesting situation because I don't think that they are necessarily the worst team in the league. They might be bottom 3, at least bottom 5, maybe. But there's some other teams that are kind of showing their colors and how they're probably going to be fighting for that top overall draft pick. I'm looking at you, Jaguars. I don't know about you guys. I can see a top 10 pick for you, but we'll get to that.
We'll get there.
There's still opportunity for you to turn it around a little bit, maybe. But not much else to go over with this Cowboys Giants game. It's more of a indictment on the Cowboys at this point that they are playing teams that are kind of below their level right now, way too close for what they were expected to be. Unless you follow our show, in which you probably have heard us talk about how we think that they're pretty overrated. And maybe they're kind of falling back to earth a little bit. So we will get onto our Sunday slate of games here. First one up, we have the Saints and the Falcons. Falcons were able to inch out a win there with a kick from Younghoe Koo.
Hell yeah.
26-24. They beat the Saints. Great effort there from Taysom Hill, 2 rushing touchdowns before he left the game.
On my bench, by the way. On my bench.
Yep. A pretty close game, though. Kind of what I expected with the division game here.
Close game. I mean, the spread was 2.5. You hit here. I did not. I got beat on the hook on this one. Interesting game, man. A lot of passing, a lot of yards, but it seemed like there was not a whole lot of score. They could not throw inside the red zone. They were able to get it done. A lot of rushing touchdowns in this game, but man, the explosive plays were kind of few and far between, it felt like, in this game. After seeing a lot of explosive plays for the Saints team earlier in the year.
Yeah, it feels like the Saints also have kind of returned back to the mean of what they're going to be, which is a relatively competent offense, but not one that is going to kind of blow the doors off. On the flip side, you have an Atlanta offense that you were expecting to see that big uptick this year. Obviously, Kirk Cousins is regular season a prolific passer, but he threw for 0 touchdowns, 1 interception, and only 6.8 yards on average. You know, it's a pretty limited passing game compared to what we saw from Kirk under Kevin O'Connell in recent years. And one where Kyle Pitts is still not a part of this offense. It feels like
they're using him wrong, man. I don't know if you've seen any of the cut-ups. They're using him out wide. He is not a receiver. He is a tight end. He moves like a tight end. He needs to play inside and stop sending him out there against the number 1 corner.
Look, I don't disagree, but that's kind of what I'm getting at. Is it feels like we just got done trashing the previous regime here for misutilizing their offensive weapons and pieces, specifically Bijan. Bijan only got 7 carries this game for 28 yards. Tyler Algier got more rushes than him.
Yeah.
Which, okay, if you have 15 rushes from your team in a game, I'm okay with that if you have a prolific passing game. But 238 yards and it just kind of being spread around and not even to like playmakers like a Kyle Pitts, and he's being misutilized. It's making me question what Zach Robinson's doing there with the offense. We expect it to be another McVay disciple, big things to happen. It is only week 4. They have time to turn that around and figure it out. But I mean, that's obviously not the sort of performance that you were expecting to see.
Yeah, get a win, but probably don't feel great about this win.
No.
But Younghoe Koo, man, banging it in from fucking 58, longest of his career to winning. That's awesome.
Yeah,
I
love
5-point field goals for fantasy because Younghoe Koo's my guy.
Mm-hmm.
However, Billy's a bitch for taking his defense out.
All right. Next up, we have the Rams and the Bears. Bears are able to eke out a win here against the Rams, 24-18. Caleb Williams actually had 4 scoring drives, and they were looking to be a little bit more competent there, especially in the run game. DeAndre Swift all of a sudden became a decent runner in this one. Something that we hadn't seen for 3 weeks. 16 carries, 93 yards, and a touchdown, and 7 receptions for 72 yards. Like, he became the focal point of that offense, which it kind of goes into LA's defense. I think the loss of Aaron Donald obviously is going to show. Braden Fisk and some of the guys that they brought in rookie wise, like, they're good pieces, but they're still weakest on that defense right now, without any sort of superstar talent. And the offense is making it work despite not having those receiving options. I mean, Tutu Atwell is as a number 3 receiver, essentially, is showing up, doing his job, doing very well. But the dude just have a lot of jags in that wide receiver room.
Yeah.
Kyron's doing his thing. It's kind of making me question where this team would be if they hadn't lost Puka and Cup. Like, would they just be one of those offensive firepower teams? Because you can expect probably another like 6 to 10 points out of this team, I would think, on a game by game basis if those two are in there.
Yeah. They probably hold on to the ball for longer as well, being able to sustain drives a little bit longer. Their defense probably doesn't give up as much. They're probably sitting pretty good, 2-2, 3-1 at this point. So the injuries are definitely hurting. Interesting that the Chicago offense finally kind of got going, but Caleb didn't really get going. Bears fans have got to be tearing their fucking hair out, trying to figure out what it is that Shane Waldron is doing with this offense on a weekly basis. He pulled the reins back on Caleb here. I think that was a good idea a little bit. Got DeAndre Swift going, but are they going to get that every week? I don't know, because we talked about this Rams defense. They're not the Rams defense of old. I still don't like this Bears offense just yet, even though they got enough points in this game to beat a depleted Rams team.
Yeah, look, I hate the offense. I'll be blunt about it. They have way too much talent, despite not having a good offensive line. They have way too much talent to not be utilizing it better. I feel like I'm talking about the Falcons again, but I mean, if you're trotting out 3 receivers who potentially could be number 1s on some teams, I mean, yes, Keenan Allen is aged, coming off injury and all that, but still, like, he's a talented receiver. DJ Moore, who you gave up lots of assets to get, and then you also have a Roma Dunze, who we know can be fantastic, and just 3 targets for Rome. You're not scheming up stuff well enough in the passing game. And when your running game is working, where 93 yards on 16 carries, you should be scheming up stuff better for your receivers, the play action stuff, which can help a depleted offensive line look better. Like, I do not know what Shane Waldron is doing with that offense, and it's the coaching staff there is holding this team back from what it could be. In my opinion.
Yeah,
they figure it out.
Get a win. Yeah, Bears fans get a win, but once again, not a great win, and Bears fans are probably not feeling super confident that they're going to do a ton. They're hoping the defense shows up week in, week out, because they're going to have to.
Yep. All right, next one. I'll have fun talking about this. Vikings go to the Packers, and they play in Sambo Field, and we get up 28 to nothing in the first half. I was ecstatic with the way that we were playing offense and defense. And then now the question mark is going to be, why did we allow them to score 29 points and only put up 3 points ourselves in the second half? I can make a lot of excuses here. I was not happy during the game watching that second half performance. But the reality of the situation is, especially after kind of having given it 24 hours after that game to think about it more, you typically, if you have a bank account and you have a decent job, like, you're supposed to be stashing away money in a savings account to, save for a rainy day, or if you lose your job or something like that. When you're up 28 points, you're not calling the same sort of plays. You're not doing the same sort of thing. The whole point is you get that big of a lead, and then you are absolutely going to adjust your game plan and your play style to mitigate potential things like turnovers and whatnot. And you can just kind of ride the game out, which we were able to do. When we needed to score those 3 points to keep it at a 2-score game in the end, we went ahead and we did it, and we were able to accomplish that. And while it would have felt a lot better to have been like 48-14 or something like that in this game and not play such a loose defense, I'm not completely turned off by the situation. At the end of the day, we played a team that was very good last year, making it deep in the playoffs, that has a crazy home field advantage, and we smacked the living piss out of them for essentially 2 quarters.
3. They didn't score those fucking 22 points till the fourth quarter.
Well, a majority of it, yes. And really the things started to fall apart after our muffed punt, which we didn't have our normal punt returner out there. We talked, or coach talked about it after the game, saying Jalen Naylor, like, we just wanted him to not touch the ball. We would have been perfectly fine with just taking it wherever it was downed. And that obviously gave a momentum boost to the Packers going into halftime. But that being said, like, Sam Darnold is still going out there. He's doing the right thing. He's putting up good numbers. There were 2 turnovers from Sam, which the fumble is the only one that I really put on him, and I can't 100% put it on him because I don't know the calls of the line. But you have a corner showing a blitz on your blind side. He should have moved protection or thrown the ball quicker, knowing that that blitz was coming. So that one is a little bit more on him. The interception was not an interception. I don't know if you have seen that interception.
I have not.
The I don't know how, because all these turnovers are reviewed. I don't know how it was upheld. The NFL rules analyst was saying as much on the broadcast. But Xavier McKinney's had 4 interceptions in 4 games. So if there's one guy to get it, it will be him. It was on the goal line. It was a very athletic, acrobatic move by Xavier McKinney to get his hands on the ball. However, he never had full possession. He was sitting there double clutching in the air. And when he landed out of bounds, he was still double clutching it out of bounds and then held onto it. And they somehow kept that as an interception. I don't know how. At the end of the day, good teams are able to overcome bad officiating calls and things like that. We were able to do that, hold out for the win. And quite honestly, I think that a lot of times a championship team needs to get kicked in the jaw to learn who they are and to recover from it. And usually that means they have to take an L. We got that kick in the pants here and didn't have to take the L. We still got to beat our rivals in their home. And we played a very commanding, at least half of football in this one. So I think it continues to solidify the Vikings might be the best team in the NFC, depending on which outlet you look at right now. A lot of outlets are having them at least top 4, top 3, but some are listing them as the top team in the NFL after the Bills took an L Sunday night.
Yep.
Sunday night. I mean, I'm ecstatic with how the team is playing. Jordan Addison is looking fantastic coming back. JJ's JJ doing Justin Jefferson things. The offensive line is playing great. Aaron Jones is playing great. I think it was a sham that we didn't find a way to get him in the end zone for the Lambeau Leap, even though he still got to have his Lambeau Leap with Vikings fans in the stadium after the game. And things are only going to start to get better once we get TJ Hawkinson back. His practice window is open. I don't expect him to be back until after our bye week, which the Vikings play in the UK on Sunday, have a bye week, and then we come back and play Detroit in Minnesota, which our home field advantage has been showing to be fantastic. So I'm really looking forward to that one. I'm super happy with how we performed, how we played. I don't expect Brian Flores to, like, that was it was shades of Ed Donatel from 2 years ago, how we played in that fourth quarter. It was a very bend not break, but I think the thought process was we are going to dial things back. We know that they're going to be very loose trying to get the ball out, and we've been able to get turnovers on them all day. So let's go get some more. And we did. Got interceptions, got fumbles, and it was enough to help us secure this win. If the game was closer, I don't expect to have such a milquetoast offensive game plan or defensive game plan. And obviously, the foot would be back on the pedal. So the score, obviously, I would like to have won by more than 2 points, but I don't think it's indicative of the actual situation. There was a lot of garbage time points, and I don't have the stat by me. I actually was listening to a talk show today. They said that if we were just going by non-garbage time points, so garbage time, I think, is classified by being ahead by 10 points or more in the fourth quarter or something like that. The Vikings point differential outside of garbage time is the best in the NFL. They've been doing a fantastic job.
There we go. So like I said at the start, this game, the score is closer than the game was. You guys kicked the shit out of the Packers for the majority of this game. They found a way back in. Jordan Love makes 3 big mistakes. I didn't get to watch as much of this game as I would like to, but we were talking during the game. Jordan Love still inaccurate with the ball placement, and they had him throw this thing 54 times to get back into the game. That knee, he better be good because they did not take it easy on him at all in this game.
Yeah, I like for what it's worth, he's better than the Jordan Love that we had seen last year.
Mm-hmm.
If he had two working knees, he was not planting, not forward on that leg like he should be. You were seeing balls go way low, or I mean, that was already a problem before where he was inaccurate with his ball placement. You were seeing more passes go low in this game, and the announcers calling it out. He's not planting or driving off of that front leg. It's going to be a problem. His mobility was absolutely a question. He was nowhere near as mobile as normal. I still think that they rushed him out. Like, if this is your guy, you just paid him all the money, and you think that you have a chance to go deep in the playoffs, give him another week or two. You've been getting wins with Malik Willis. Like, worst case, if you trot Malik Willis out for 4 weeks and you come out of that 2-2, that's a fucking win.
That is a fucking win for sure, dude.
And Packers fans, I don't think, are completely blind to this. They won't say it, but they've seen the issues with Jordan Love too.
Yeah.
And now you're going to bring in the question of, like, we're able to win with the other guy. Like, maybe we should just be riding with that for a while. Like, you don't ever want that in your locker room.
No, I understand. There's a reason that some teams don't change their guys, and if they do make a change, they shouldn't change them back. Like Carolina, that's another reason why Cleveland won't make a change, even though they definitely did not need to make a change this week. Well, let's go ahead. You got anything else on your Vikings here, brother? You ready to move on to the next one?
Nope, ready to move on. So next up, we got the Steelers and the Colts. Colts get a win in this one, 27-24, and you say, holy shit, Anthony Richardson must have fucking had himself a game. No.
He sure did. Watching fucking old Uncle Flacco go out there and dice up the Steelers one more time, baby.
Yep. Joe Flacco goes in after Anthony Richardson sustains a hip injury. I do not know the timetable or how severe that hip injury is, but at this point, it's kind of showing you again, this is what happens when you have a guy who goes out and he can throw the ball with a little bit of consistency.
Yeah.
Joe Flacco goes out and carves him up. Only 16 of 26 for 168 yards, but 2 touchdowns. The passing offense was able to support the running offense, and they weren't one-dimensional.
You're absolutely right. I mean, they run the ball fucking 32 times in this game. But the Anthony Richardson thing, we need to talk about real quick. Because, you know what, didn't start bad. Got a little run in, climb up a little hinky, and then, okay, he's out. Joe Flacco's in, offense is operating, and you're doing fine, right? Joe Flacco can operate your offense. There is absolutely no reason to stick Anthony Richardson back out there and then call a fucking, I believe it was a designed run play that actually gets him hurt for that last time and takes him out of the game. It doesn't make any goddamn sense. So now Colts are going to be riding with Flacco for who knows how long, because we don't have any news on this hip injury yet. Hopefully it's not too bad, but it really kind of mismanagement by the coaching staff there, putting him back out. Doesn't make any sense to me, but I'm happy that Joe Flacco goes in there and beats the goddamn Steelers, who honestly didn't play bad.
No, the Steelers actually, like, especially look at the box score, they had themselves a pretty damn good game. Justin Fields had himself a good game. The issue, I think, for them was untimely turnovers. Fields had 2 fumbles, only lost one of them, and then you also have George Pickens losing a fumble. And on the flip side, the Steelers' defense were unlucky with the fumbles that they caused. They were only able to, or weren't able to recover any of the fumbles that happened. They were
forced 3 of them, right?
Yeah. So not winning that turnover battle is obviously a huge deal. When your team is kind of predicated on having a really good defense and not securing those turnovers, that's going to be a problem. But other than that, I mean, Justin Fields, like, legitimately had a good day. What if you look at some of the best quarterbacks in the league, let's say a Patrick Mahomes and a Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, you expect there to be turnovers because those guys are playing loose. They're doing some crazy shit most of the time. And they're going to have some balls that get intercepted, or they're going to be driving, fighting harder for an extra run, and they're going to lose the ball. Those things happen, and we are very quick to overlook those and be like, well, this guy is still an amazing quarterback. He's doing amazing things. We are critical of Justin Fields because he's not been that sort of a quarterback yet. But when you have a guy going out throwing 22 of 34 for a touchdown, 9.2 yards average, 300 yards, and then rushing for another 55 and 2 touchdowns,
Good fucking day.
like he's having himself a very good day. He is that focal point of that offense, doing great things. Like, you're going to have to give him a little bit more credibility and a little bit more leash. And I actually commented on the Lyman Lounge Facebook page today with Byron. Like, I do think that they need to seriously consider shipping off Russ. Justin Fields might not just be a 1-year stopgap or a guy who's kind of filling in as the starter until Russ is back. Because while we haven't seen Russ in Pittsburgh yet and what he can be or do, we have seen what Justin can do. He's younger. He's obviously got this upside that you're not going to be seeing from Russ. Russ isn't this type of a runner.
Far more athletic at this point. Yeah.
His best years are behind him. And you do have teams out there, albeit AFC teams like the Dolphins, who are in desperate need of a quarterback. And you could probably fleece them. Like, I would move on from Russ. And I would look at potentially securing Justin Fields on a longer term deal. At least something simple like a 3-year deal or something like that, where it's not an insane amount of money.
3 years, $60 million. Do you think he'd do it?
No, I think you have to go higher than that. 3 or 90. Like, he's probably at this point, the way that quarterbacks are, even looking at a Sam Darnold, if he leaves the Vikings next year, you're looking at him probably getting closer to the Daniel Jones style contract of $40 million a year, just because that's roughly where starting quarterbacks are at. Yeah. Justin Fields, being that he's a run first starting style quarterback who could be prone to injuries because of that, you might want to hedge your bets a little bit, lower the number, but increase the guarantees, something along those lines. But at least that figures out your quarterback situation. You don't feel pressed where you're not having to look at Kenny Pickett or Mason Rudolph, who played a
made an appearance this week.
Yeah, you're not having to worry about that situation. You can focus on the rest of your team. Like, I would just lean into this Justin Fields thing. It seems like a perfect fit for your team right now.
It does.
I'd go with it.
I would too, man. And I hate saying that. I fucking hate the Steelers, but it makes the most sense. It fits perfectly with the offense. The reason they lost this game is they just really untimely turnovers. Can't miss out on points. Joe Flacco, the elite Joe Flacco.
It had to feel good watching Flacco go out there and get the dub for him.
Yeah. Listen, of all the things that did piss me off this weekend, my quarterback really wasn't one of them. So
next up, we got the Broncos and the Jets, and you could have told me that Zach Wilson was playing for both these teams because we saw Zach Wilson style scores from both these teams. Broncos win 10-9 in New York versus the Aaron Rodgers team. No revenge game for Nathaniel Hackett. Aaron did not show up for his boy. You're getting Aaron now coming out saying that his knee is banged up and swelling and whatnot. Maybe an excuse. But also you have Garrett Wilson coming out with frustration, saying, I'm paying attention. I'm watching all these other teams playing on Sunday. They're going out there and they're doing different things. We're just not doing that. That's not what our offense is. It's Nathaniel Hackett, man, is not a fucking good coach.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times we have to say this.
It's pretty fucking apparent that Nathaniel Hackett's not the guy.
And when
Nathaniel Hackett was made by Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers is well past his prime.
When Bo Nix goes out in one half of football, and I believe throws for -7 yards.
Dude, we're going to talk fucking Bo Nix, dude. He sucks so bad. And honestly, it's also Sean Payton. Sean Payton's offense fucking sucks really goddamn bad as well. This is not the modern NFL that he's trying to run. I don't know what the fuck they're doing. At one point, Bo Nix had -9 yards. I'm going to give you another crazy fucking stat from this game. Cortland Sutton in this game has 60 yards receiving. Bo Nix has 60 yards passing. Cortland Sutton caught 3 balls. Bo Nix completed fucking 12. That means of the other 9 completions that went to everybody else, they got 0 fucking yards. 2.4 yard average. This offense is dog shit. Thankfully, the Jets are also dog shit. Fuck both of these teams.
Yeah, it was truly an impressively bad performance from both teams, at least on the offensive side. Like, I cannot fathom an NFL game where a quarterback throws for 60 yards, achieved that in the one half of football, played the entire game, and it wasn't a weather game. It doesn't fucking compute to me. Yeah. But guess what? He threw for 60 yards, a touchdown, and led his team to a win. Where on the flip side, you have Aaron Rodgers with, I would say more offensive firepower in Mike Williams, in Garrett Wilson, in
where the fuck did Breece Hall go?
In Braylon Allen, and that's what we can turn up. No touchdowns, a 5.4 yard passing average, 64 rushing yards. Breece Hall ran 10 times for 4 yards. That is your offense? I don't know what to say. Like, other than I'll see you in London on Sunday.
Yeah.
Because that ain't going to fucking cut it. Like,
Salah is either going to get fired at the end of the year or Hackett's going to get fired in the next couple of weeks. Which is going to cause a huge rift that's already fucking there between Salah and Rodgers. Because those two motherfuckers hate each other. You will never convince me otherwise. Aaron Rodgers is lying out of his ass saying that trying to come up with a story for why he shoved his coach. They can't fucking stand each other.
The same thing happened with Mike Zimmer and Kirk Cousins, where Kirk went into Zim's face, you like that, and pushed him, and Zim looked like he was ready to fucking fight him after a win. All right. And the same thing's happening here. It's emotional diva and versus the coach this time, right? Like, I'm here for the implosion. I'm here to see it.
Yeah. Jets fans just cannot catch a fucking break, bro. And they're gonna watch Sam Darnold go over to London Town and just absolutely fucking dog walk with the Jets, probably.
And we'll get into that game. I'm excited for it because this does seem like a team that's ripe for the picking right now with how they're playing. We're going up against one of my arch nemesises in Aaron Rodgers, but also we've got at least 2 people on this Vikings team, this current Vikings team, who might have a bone to pick with the New York Jets. But we'll get to that when we talk about that game a little bit later. Not much else to go over in that one other than I don't think we'll ever see a fantasy relevant Bo Nix. Next up, Eagles and Buccaneers. Big bounce back for the Bucs in this one. Baker had himself a fucking day. Talk about the former Carolina fucking quarterbacks going out there and doing their business. Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, both on a Carolina team, both looked like their careers were over and moved on from there and just have been doing great fucking things. Baker had himself a fucking great day.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, listen, it pains me. But Baker balled out, man. What else can you say? He played fucking fantastic. Almost 350, 2 touchdowns. Excellent QBR. Fucking rushing touchdown. Was smart with the ball, got his team into good spots. He did everything that you want out of a franchise quarterback, which is not what we've been seeing from Jalen Hurts on the opposite side. There's a problem with Jalen Hurts. He is regressing. At one point, he looked like he should win the MVP, and he has not looked like that in almost 16 weeks now. Like, he is regressing.
It's well into last season, yeah, since the problems went out there.
Yeah, I don't understand what is going on. Maybe I do understand. Sirianni and this offense are not working anymore. Whatever they're trying to do is not working.
I expected big things, a big jump from adding Kellen Moore. It really makes me question how much Shane Steichen was a boon for that team on offense.
Yeah.
Um, but then again, like you kind of brought up, we're seeing this weird regression from Jalen Hurts where you go start of last season and he legitimately looked like he was this perfect kind of dual threat quarterback. He was the perfect blend of what we kind of want to see from Lamar because he didn't have a cannon on him by any means, but he had a good arm, good accuracy, good decision making, and the dude could run fucking well too. Like he seemed like the modern day NFL dual threat quarterback. And now it's taken huge leaps and strides backwards.
Yeah. I don't understand what is going on. Um, I can't believe that Jalen Hurts is just all of a sudden fallen off of a cliff.
To be fair, they're missing their top two passing options.
Yeah.
AJ Brown, Devonta Smith not out there. But despite that, you
Even
do
when he's
have
had weapons, he has not looked
yes.
great.
Right.
And it's been for a long time.
And like Saquon had a decent day, but they can't just only focus on him. Dallas Goedert again also had a decent day, but you've got other guys out there like Jahan Dotson, who I don't think is not a good football player. Like he had shown some fucking flashes in Washington. Other players out there that should be able to do something. Even so, like it's just been a pretty abysmal showing from this Eagles team the past several weeks. Uh, Having multiple fumbles from Jalen Hurts isn't going to help you either. Yeah, he only lost one of them, but we also lost one from Cooper DeJean. It's like they're playing undisciplined football, and we are seeing regression from some of their star players way earlier than you would expect to. Um, Sirianni, if he's not already on the hot seat, absolutely should be feeling like he is. I've been seeing the memes about Belichick out there and in Philly and whatnot. Makes some sense. Like it could happen.
Yeah, Bill should go back. I think Bill's enjoying the fucking relaxing TV gig though. He's on Pat McAfee like every other fucking day.
Sure.
Like
Yeah, but
maybe he goes back.
maybe. It would be funny if that happened. More than anything. I just would like to see the drama and kind of watch from afar and laugh at it. Either way, great job by the Bucks. They, needed this rebound game after losing to Bo Nix and the Denver Broncos the week before. And get it against the team that again, you and I both expect to be very good this year. A team that we expect. The Eagles are talented. They're a very talented team, but it seems like they're just absolutely undisciplined, and we're seeing some really weird play from some of the players that you wouldn't expect that from.
Great. I don't got much else on that one, brother.
All righty. Next up, we have the Bengals.
Still a fucking dog in fantasy football, though.
Yeah. Bengals and Panthers in Carolina. Bengals get the win in this one, 34-24. We still saw life from the Panthers with Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton played a little bit more like Andy Dalton. Threw an interception in this game. No fumbles by him, but 220 yards on 25 passes. Not a terrible day, not a great depth target, only 220 yards, 5.5 yard average. But this Carolina team is showing that it was definitely
There's a
the
quarterback.
Bryce Young situation.
Yeah.
And that, they are a bad team, but not that bad. I believe they've elevated themselves from being the worst team in the NFL at this point. I think that crown might be going towards the Jaguars.
Yeah, the Jaguars can't fucking buy a win.
And
they got the one guy in the NFL that might be able to do it.
Quite honestly, the Broncos with Bo Nix right now are not putting any fear in me either.
They're 2-2 though somehow.
Yeah, for sure.
Fucking infuriating. But you know what? This game, not a great game. What I'm excited for out of this game is the fact that Xavier Legette is going to get a good run with a veteran quarterback. We're going to see what he can do as a wide receiver because we weren't going to see him with Bryce Young. It wasn't going to happen. So for Xavier Legette, I think this is probably one of the better things that could have happened. Panthers are not a great team, but they're not as bad as they looked.
And look, they're going to be getting Jonathan Brooks here very shortly. That could provide a boost. Chuba Hubbard has shown, and I don't think Chuba Hubbard's a very good running back, but he is a guy that obviously can put up some yards, 18 rushes for 104 yards. Like, I don't think that he's an every down starter in the NFL, but Brooks absolutely has the capability to do that. So you have a decent 1-2 punch there potentially when he comes back. Like, we could see a little bit more life out of this team, especially, like I said, on the offensive side of the ball. The defense is still fucking terrible. And 34 points to the Bengals here makes sense with the weapons that they do have. But obviously, a lot of that was done in the ground game. Chase Brown kind of separated himself in this one, 15 carries for 80 yards. So not a ton to go over here. This is a game that the Bengals absolutely should win and did win by 10 points. Panthers, again, not good, but not as bad as they were when Bryce Young was at quarterback.
Yeah, true story.
I do believe that last week you kind of had the feeling, but this week kind of solidified. There's no need to put Bryce Young back on the field for the Carolina team.
No, you can't. And we talked about it. It went up as one of our shorts. If they put him back out there, it's complete negligence of the franchise because they will completely tank their chance of trading him for anything.
All right, next up, Jaguars and Texans. Jags show a little bit of life, but still get stomped out by the Texans, 24-20. Late run there by the Texans to get the score and get the W at home. Jags and Texans always tend to play each other pretty fucking close.
Yeah, very close game. Houston not putting teams away, not covering, even though this one had a fucking wild, almost late cover with the safety that wasn't, as they tried to throw it around. Damn forward progress was called on the one, even though the play ended in the end zone. That would have had the Texans cover. Doesn't happen. CJ Stroud has a good day, puts up good yards, good numbers. Trevor Lawrence doesn't have a terrible day, I guess, but his completion percentage is terrible. The ball is continuing to sail on him. He is not confident in what he is doing whatsoever. This Jags team's bad. They're really, really bad.
And being 0-4 is pretty much the nail in the coffin on your chances. Like, you have to run the gambit now. You have to win out essentially to have a chance of making it to the playoffs. This team is not playing like they had the opportunity to do that whatsoever. Their defensive backs are just terrible. Nico Collins absolutely feasted on him. It's why he's leading the league in yards right now, 151 off of 12 catches in this game. True number one. Love Nico. Glad that he's able to do that. I think a big thing with Houston is that they do want to be very even with their play calling. They want to run and pass evenly. They've obviously got a lot of receiving talent out there. And right now, Cam Akers is leading that backfield. Not having Mixon on the field is hurting them because Mixon's had a really good year when he's been on the field. So that's kind of limiting that offense a little bit. But again, a good day from CJ Stroud, a good bounce back game for him as well. And like I said, for whatever reason, Jags and Texans always like to play it really tight. So it makes sense that this game was a little bit closer.
Yep. I got nothing else here, brother.
All righty. Next up, Commanders and Cardinals. Not my finest moment as far as picking the Cardinals in this one. Commanders go out. Jaden Daniels continues to have a streak of good games here. 26 of 30, 233 yards, a touchdown. Looking every bit of that number one pick that he was for this Commies team. Goes out there and doesn't really have to do a ton of running, but still 47 yards in a ton. Like, he's showing to be that dual threat guy. I'm still very, very scared for him because
he's been doing a better job.
He looks like he can get folded in half, though, at any moment, and all it takes is one solid hit to the legs, and he might become RG3. And that's kind of the fear, I think, with the Commanders is that, like,
that field, especially.
Yeah, it like, he is showing life for this team. He is made this Commanders offense very, very viable. Defense is still suspect, but the offense is very viable with what they're doing. Brian Robinson is having a phenomenal year so far. Scary Terry is getting in there, but he's spreading the ball around to all sorts of guys. Jaden is, and Jaden's obviously shown to be well worth that pick. It's just I'm very scared for him because RG3 was built bigger and his knees couldn't survive that field or their playing style. Jaden is not scared to run, and like one wrong hit in that knee, and we might have a Teddy Bridgewater. Like
I missed the last part of that because you froze. But I'm not worried for Jaden because he has been pretty damn smart with what he's doing. Now, sure, could he get down quicker? Yeah. Could he get out of bounds quicker? Yeah. Don't take any hits because what he's doing right now is playing the best 2-game stretch of any rookie quarterback in NFL history in terms of completion percentage. And like it's absurd. He's not making costly mistakes. Does throw a pick in this game, but that's one of 4 incompletions. Is excellent operating the offense. It does help that guys like Brian Robinson are really kind of coming into their own. A guy I liked last year, I think you liked him as well. Then he got shot last year and had to spend some time on the IR. Looks like he is, fully healthy, pretty damn good back. They have a ton of pieces. My question is, will that defense be able to keep up a good run? They got some veteran leadership on that team, though. Bobby Wagner in the middle of that defense really kind of can change, will change what that defense can do. When you have a veteran like that, it makes a big difference for a young team. So I like this Commanders team. I am not looking forward to playing them this fucking coming week because that's who the Browns have. I'm nervous as shit for that. But yeah, Commanders look great.
What I was saying with Jaden is I'm fearful of a Teddy Bridgewater style situation. That knee, just because of
his lankiness, 2 surgeries, 3 surgeries.
He could fold up. Feels like at any time. That's what scares me playing out there in that field.
How many surgeries has he had on the knee? Was it 1 or 2?
I'm not sure. Not sure. On the flip side, the Cardinals is just terrible. Like a good running game again from James Conner. But the offense and Kyler Murray was not working effectively as far as passing the ball. MHJ, a minimal impact. Yes, he got a touchdown, but only 45 yards. And then everyone else was just kind of meh. So like pretty abysmal showing from this Cardinals team. This is kind of the low lights of what they can be. Unfortunately, you would think that the way Kyler has been playing, that we would have seen a little bit more of an advantage taken against this defense, but not the case in this one.
Well, you got to remember, you got Cliff Kingsbury out there, former head coach of Kyler Murray, kind of can help that defensive side understand what Kyler likes, things that you can take away. So, I mean, when you get that aspect of it, I can see why the Commanders come out there and put up a good defensive performance. Commanders, good team, 3-1. Did not have that on the bingo card, but they look explosive.
Mm-hmm. All right, next game, we have the Patriots and the San Francisco 49ers. 49ers get it done here. I believe I was able to get the cover on this one.
You
win 30-13. Brock Purdy gets a lot of weapons back in this game. Debo's back. George Kittle's back. Juwan Jennings is still out there doing good things. 3 receptions, 88 yards. And Brandon Ayuk is still not worth his contract. 2 catches for 48 yards. But you don't really need it when you have Jordan Mason out there running 24 times for 123 yards, establishing a good run game, filling in the shoes of CMC very well. Shoes that maybe CMC needs to get special ones because both his Achilles have tendonitis now.
Yeah, I think it's both, but one is worse than the other. I don't know if he's in a bad spot. Both Achilles? Both.
I don't know if we see him again this year.
I don't know. I don't think we do either. It would not make sense to bring him out this year. If you're going to continue to let him play, if he's going to try to continue his career, both of your Achilles.
And to be completely honest, I don't know what Achilles tendonitis is. I know that I have had tendonitis before in like the wrist and stuff like that. but like, it's not a good thing when we have to look back a couple years now. But CMC used to be viewed as this
Injury
electric
prone.
running back that was extremely injury prone in Carolina. And that was the knock on him, was like, you might have a gangbusters guy for a while, but he's going to get hurt. And last year, San Fran got away without him getting hurt very much. And the year that they traded for him, obviously, he had a fantastic end of the year, wasn't hurt. But now we're starting to see that injury stuff rear its head again. If I'm not mistaken, he's 30, which is the wrong side for a running back to be on. And you have a guy like Jordan Mason coming out here and performing, showing that they can do it without CMC. Like,
With
Jordan
little to
Mason,
no tread on the tires either.
yeah, and Jordan Mason is not CMC. Let's be very clear. He's not that crazy dual threat, but still, he's going out there and catching balls. He's running very well. They've got a good offensive line out there for the 49ers, so they're able to do it without him. And at this point, like, I think you do consider shelving him being at least for a majority of the year, because after, once he's IR'd, he has to be out a minimum of 4 weeks, but can come back at any point in time after that. Like, maybe he's fully healthy by week 17 and good for a playoff run. But even then, like,
He's on a pitch count the whole time.
You don't have to feel the whole running him the whole time, because you do have a guy like Jordan Mason going out there doing good things. Look, the 49ers are a good team. I've said that they're a good team with one of the best depths in the league, and that's why they're able to perform. And so, they lost one last week and then the week before to the Vikings, but that's not necessarily who this team is. They're going to continue to be good. They're going to probably end up winning this NFC West. On the flip side, the Patriots are kind of who they are.
Yeah, they cannot fucking move the ball, man. If they can find a way to score just a little bit, they could be fine, but they can't move the fucking ball. The offense is so slow. There are no goddamn game breakers really on that team. They're playing old school Big Ten football, or they were trying to at times. They don't throw the ball past the sticks really. They're not a fun offense to watch.
They are another one of those teams. They're another one of those teams that's probably fighting top 3 worst in the NFL. But it's what we expected from that team, because they're just so bereft of talent. It'll be interesting to see what they do and where they go in the first round in the draft this year, just because, you might have a wide receiver like McMillan available. You could definitely use tackles. You could use players anywhere along the defense. They kind of have every opportunity to take whatever they want, and they need it. All right, next up, time for you to talk, Mike. Raiders and Browns.
Yeah.
Out in Vegas. Raiders get the win at 22-16.
Raiders get the win 22-16. Browns start the game hot, as always. Kevin Stefanski is a fucking first drive merchant. He will sneak up on you. He will score 6 points, and then he will disappear for the rest of the game. That's what it feels like happens with his offense every week. It's atrocious what is happening with his offense. Kevin Stefanski probably needs to get play calling duties, because this is not his fucking offense. And it's very apparent that Kevin is struggling to run this offense while also maintaining what's going on with game situations. You guys heard me allude to it earlier in the show with timeouts. Kevin Stefanski 2 times in this game burns a timeout in situations that doesn't make any sense. Talked about during the broadcast, I believe with Jay Feely on the call. Why waste the timeout on a hard count when we could just go out there and take the points? Do that earlier in the game. Then we get down to the end of the game where it really matters. Try to get them to jump off sides, and they don't. So we have to take a timeout. Why not go out there with a fucking play at least that you can get into that you like in that situation? Because by using that timeout now and not getting it on 4th down, we don't have 3 timeouts anymore to get the fucking ball back. That was the game. If he goes out there with a play, we can run that play, and if it doesn't work, then we still have life. It doesn't make any sense. Now, Deshaun, for all the things that I have said bad about him this year, played a pretty decent game. The offensive line was atrocious. They can't pick up a simple T&E fucking twist. It's absurd. It's like they're latching on to their guy, like they're trying to fit a run block. And they're not getting the pass off. Their eyes are not disciplined. This entire team is wildly undisciplined on the offensive side and the defensive side of the ball. That comes down to the coaches. The coaches do not have these guys fucking ready to play week in and week out. 1 week, Deshaun plays like shit, and everybody else is decent. And then Deshaun plays decent, and everybody else plays like shit around him. Amari Cooper has literally cost us games as a wide receiver this year. I regret saying that I'd rather have Amari Cooper than Brandon Ayuk right now, because he is costing us games with his drops that turn into interceptions.
Well, you might not have to worry about Amari much longer if
There will be
trade talk keeps on happening.
Yeah, there will be calls made, because I don't like the way this Browns team is going. Deshaun played pretty good. We could have won that game. Deshaun made a great, like, franchise quarterback level play in that game. Amari Cooper makes the catch and we score a touchdown. Except that there was a hold on Nick Harris, our backup center, which, by the way, was a fucking dog shit call. Terrible phantom hold. So we made enough plays to win. Deshaun made enough plays to win, but guys around him fucking failed him miserably. Thank God. This is the first time that I have seen Deshaun actually look like he gave a fuck about what was going on in the field, because he got in DeJuan's ass for completely missing a block that DeJuan should have easily made, not getting out of his stance at all. That leadership is what we need. If that Deshaun Watson shows up, we can win fucking football games. But the guys around him have to step up as well. The coaches need to figure out what the fuck it is that they're doing. This undisciplined bullshit has to stop. I don't give a fuck who, what, when, where, how. Anybody who can bring fucking wins needs to be in charge, needs to be saying some shit. If we got to get rid of Kevin Stefanski, then we got to get rid of Kevin Stefanski. If he needs to give up play calling, then he needs to give up play calling. If we got to fire Ken Dorsey, fucking fire him. I do not give a fuck what the scenario is. The offense needs to be fucking corrected, and the guys around Deshaun need to help him when he's actually playing good. Because we can't dog him every week when guys are just literally shitting the bed around him. He played a good game. I have not been able to say that in quite some time, but I'll say it this week. One of the highest rated quarterbacks in the league, QBR-wise, this week, played a good game. And we still fucking lost.
You said QBR-wise?
Yeah.
He was a 36.4.
What? Oh. Damn, they got him that low? He played way fucking better than that. The eye test will tell you that he played fucking way better than that.
So I don't have a lot to go over on this game in general, but the take that I had was about Kevin Stefanski specifically. You know, when he was with Minnesota, he basically coached every position group at some point in time over a decade. Obviously a good dude, good coach, someone that people liked in the organization. He had 1 year as our offensive coordinator, and it was definitely up and down, but he was still seen as one of the hot up and coming coaches just because of his overall knowledge and the way that guys liked him and whatnot. I'm not sure that he should. I feel like he needs to have a very good offensive and defensive coordinator underneath him where he gets to be hands off of everything and just focus on coaching and allow that offense to completely solely be run by the offensive coordinator and the defense solely run their own thing. Very much akin to what would happen if you had a special teams coach become a head coach like Harbaugh out in with the Ravens. Like, I don't think his play calling has been great. I think that Ken Dorsey has shown that his offense is not great. for years, you guys had really good offensive lines there with Callahan, and that's something you can kind of step back, and Stefanski doesn't have to worry about that. He hasn't had to worry about the running game because you guys have had a all-pro, fantastic running back, and the run game is being run through that offensive line coach. The passing game hasn't worked out because, in general, the offensive coordinators haven't been good, and you guys haven't had a quarterback that has produced.
Yeah.
You've had receiving talent there, and we've seen teams with lesser receiving talent put up more prolific games, game in and game out. I don't know. Like, I think that this is going to very potentially cost Stefanski his job, that he's got to move on from Dorsey. But at the same time, who's going to move into that role? And it can't be him, because I'm not trusting what he has right now.
Yeah.
Like, I liked him as a coach. I didn't want Minnesota to lose him, but the 1 year that he was our offensive coordinator, it was up and down enough that I still had a lot of question marks myself of, like, I don't know if this is the right role for him.
Yeah.
And I feel like he is almost a better position coach than a coordinator. And now he might be a little bit ahead of his, toes as a head coach, despite being head coach of the year and stuff like that. But you had, your team was performing really fucking well back then, and he didn't have to be as hands-on with those certain things. And we still saw some of the hiccups and things like that through those years. And the question for me then is, kind of goes back to Deshaun, is, can Stefanski find anyone that can come in and get the production out of Deshaun where it's still not going to fall back on the coaching?
At this point, no. So the only thing that he can do is turn over play calling to Ken Dorsey. And here's why. So if he turns over the play calling and it goes better, worse, if it goes better, let's say if it goes better, then okay, Kevin has made the right decision. Kevin made an excellent head coach's decision by taking some of the things off of his plate and delegating to the guys that work for him, giving his OC and empowering him to call plays. That's a way to spin Kevin relinquishing play calling duties and giving them to Ken. If it goes good. If he does that and it goes bad, he'd be like, no, this is fucking his fault. This is his stupid scheme, and he can't even call the fucking plays.
But Kevin hired him.
Yeah, I know. But you can say, oh, I made a mistake, and I made a mistake. If he doesn't give up play calling duties, though, and the offense continually looks like shit, you're going to have to be like, Kevin, you're an offensive coach. You're calling the plays. You hired the guy who came up with the scheme. What the fucking fuck? You're out. And you're going to fire a guy who's two-time coach of the year. He has to give up play calling duties to save his fucking job. Because if he doesn't, his replacement is ready-made, already sitting in Berea. Vrabel will be fucking stepping into that role in a heartbeat.
If you think that they fired Stefanski mid-season and moved Vrabel in, how much of an uptick do you think that would bring?
Game or two. Because all the great things about Mike Vrabel is also not an offensive coach. He's a defensive head coach. Mm-hmm. So you'd then for sure have to turn over play calling to Ken Dorsey. And we'll see what the fuck happens.
Very true.
Either way, Kevin is not going to call. He can't call plays anymore. It doesn't logically make sense unless it's going to have to go absolutely perfect. It's going to have to be a massive upswing. Kevin's going to have to figure out how to call plays for an offense that is not his offense. Things that we talked about, man, the guys over at the OTC guys, they've been catching a lot of shit as well, kind of like Carnes. They were part of the reason that Carnes was catching shit. But it's been brought up in multiple spaces before the season. BG, one of their guys, that Kevin calling plays, we don't mind it. Well, we have to mind it now because it's a different offense. I know he's smart. He's Ivy League smart, but he's not figuring out how to fucking orchestrate a game plan once it comes off the script. The script is amazing. If he can script 60 fucking plays, I believe that Kevin Stefanski would be the best coach in the league. But he can't. It doesn't fucking work like that. And he's having a problem after the scripted plays are over. We are in a bad spot. Do not like our chances this week against the Commanders. But I don't have to make that prediction till Sunday.
Very true. All righty. Next up, we have the actually, we can talk about this game a little bit more. Devontae has requested a trade from the Raiders.
Yeah.
You also have Amari liking tweets about him being traded again and saying that he wouldn't be opposed to that. So both the Browns and Raiders might be losing who's considered their top receiving options here very shortly.
I wonder why. I wonder who they would be going to replace.
Well, I mean, the obvious low-hanging fruit is going to be the Chiefs in our next game that we go over here, with Rashee Rice probably being out for the year after bending his knee backwards.
Yeah. Homie got his ACL blown out by his quarterback.
Which is surprising that they haven't come out and said they said they need to do further testing. Like, you can tell an ACL pretty fucking quick. Yeah. So it's interesting that they haven't IR'd him, haven't done any of that.
There's no way that there's not severe structural damage.
You would think so.
Like,
unless he's super bendy.
Yeah, dude. It's not, nobody's that fucking bendy, I don't think. Like, that's shades of OBJ getting his fucking ACL blown out. And Pat Mahomes, God, man. Pat Mahomes taking out his best fucking weapon, not on the bingo card.
Yep. But other options out there. I mean, we've seen the Commanders floated for Ayuk. Any of the people who were looking at Ayuk previously could be in the market here. Now, obviously, I don't see your Browns trading Amari Cooper to the Steelers.
No, absolutely not.
But Steelers are an option. I've seen my Vikings floated out there, and I personally don't like it for Devontae. Just completely stack out that receiving room and try to ride the wave. Allegedly, the Raiders are going to be looking for a second-round pick plus more compensation in return. Vikings don't have a second-round pick to trade away, so we'd be looking at a lot more than that.
I'll give him Amari Cooper in a third. Amari Cooper in a third for Devontae Adams.
Yeah, I don't know if that's happening either. And I don't know if
you froze up. What was that?
I was saying I don't know if that helps you.
Yeah, I don't think it does either.
Because Devontae's not doing a whole lot out there for the
but Amari has literally cost us games. A wide receiver that costs you games is bad.
Yeah, true. Either way, something to watch here. Trade deadline is not anytime soon, but there's already some potential movement on teams looking to do fire sales on some of their talent because things are looking dire. Next up, we have the Chiefs and the Chargers. Chiefs get a win, barely, 17-10 versus the Chargers. This game was deadlocked 10-10 until later in the fourth quarter when the Chiefs were able to get that touchdown. This continues to be the Chiefs team that just does not want to blow teams out, plays down to their opponents. And I saw something today from a Fox Sports reporter saying that he doesn't think Mahomes is a top 5 quarterback in the league right now. The way that he's been playing hasn't been special. I'll say it. It hasn't been special. I haven't seen the shine of Patrick Mahomes that we've seen in years past. Not to say it's not there. Not to say that I don't think that he's probably the greatest quarterback in the league right now. Probably of our generation. But he's not been as accurate as you're looking for. He doesn't have the weapons, which makes it difficult.
Yeah.
Travis Kelce, had himself his first decent game, but still, like, this Chiefs team doesn't scare me. They got a damn good defense. That's about it.
Yeah, the defense is very good. Offense has struggled, and it will struggle more now that they lose their top pass catcher. Chargers team just can't score either. They're not explosive unless J.K. Dobbins is ripping off long-ass runs. But the run game was kind of stifled because, like you brought up, that Chiefs defense is spectacular. They're so good. They could win a Super Bowl with that defense, but they're going to have to find somebody who can catch the ball. They're going to make a trade. They're going to have to make a trade. I don't think that the Raiders are trading Devontae Adams to a division opponent. So the most likely option is that Amari Cooper is probably going to end up being a fucking Kansas City Chief at some point this year.
It's very
I think
possible.
that is the most likely scenario.
Yeah, I'm trying to run my head through any other teams that might be willing to part way with a receiver. You're not seeing T. Higgins go from the Chiefs or to the Chiefs because of the rivalry there. I don't really know who else is out there available. At least, look, a lot of teams will probably trade away like a number 3 type guy to him. But is that what you want to replace Rashee Rice with? Not really. They are looking to get Hollywood Brown back here in the near future as well, who doesn't necessarily excite me, but it's another option for Pat Mahomes. But yeah, look, the Chiefs are going to have to do something. Otherwise, their passing game is going to suffer greatly. I don't think Xavier Worthy, despite having 3 catches for 73 yards, I don't think that he's the guy.
He's explosive,
he's
but
explosive, but he's not an every play type of player that you can truly count on to be a number 1 wide receiver. So big question there for this Chiefs team, and I think it's not going to be too long before we're looking at a Chiefs team that's going to collect a loss. It could be next week versus the Saints, who have shown some life.
Yeah, absolutely could be.
All righty, next up, Sunday night Bills, Ravens. Ravens get it done. They completely shut down that Bills offense. The offense did not look good at all. And Derrick Henry absolutely took over the game right from the beginning, ripping off, I believe it was an 87-yard touchdown run.
Yeah, right from the rip.
Yep. 24 carries, 199 yards, an 8.3 yard average, and a touchdown. Lamar was able to get his in, 6 runs, 54 yards. And Justice Hill showing to be that good receiving option out of the backfield, 78 yards on 6 catches and a touchdown.
Yeah, this Ravens offense is starting to turn into a real fucking problem. You listen to Bill Belichick talk about it on the Pat McAfee show. They are starting to find a way to utilize the guys that they got, and it's really fucking hard to defend what they're doing. They have so many options out of the backfield with a couple of guys that you can sprinkle. Isaiah Likely looks like tight end number 1 there now over Mark Andrews.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing is that they were able to win this game with what looked to be a very potent offense, but it was a potent offense that was completely predicated out of the backfield, and that includes the quarterback. Yeah. Isaiah Likely, 1 catch for 26 yards. Bateman, 1 catch for 23 yards. Derrick Henry, 3 catches. Justice Hill, 6 catches. Yeah. Zay Flowers only got 1 catch in this game. Like, and no one else topped 26 yards as a receiver other than Likely.
They don't need to. That they're so dynamic with what they're doing, and they're blocking and out of the backfield. That these guys the receivers are not going to love playing in Baltimore. They never have with Lamar, and it's not going to change now. Especially when you got Derrick Henry, who looks like a young Derrick Henry running. Like, he looks fantastic, and that sucks as a Browns fan. But that offense is so hard to defend. It also doesn't help. And you'll hear national pundits talk about it all week, probably. The Bills got out physicaled like a motherfucker. They got bullied. And that could be a problem for this team. They're going to have to find a way to toughen the fuck up, because you cannot allow a team to run down your throat the way that the Ravens did to the Bills. You cannot win a game.
They're going to have to figure out how to do it over the next 4 games without Von Miller.
Yeah.
Suspended.
Yeah. PEDs, right?
Conduct detrimental.
Oh. Okay.
I don't know.
I don't know that story then.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what, but not sure. Either way.
We'll check on that later. But yeah, Bills can't win when they get the ball run down their throat at 8 yards a clip. Yeah. It doesn't matter how many times. If they run at 8 yards a clip, you're not going to fucking win.
You can control a game with a very potent, competent run game. And then on the flip side, when you're not able to counter back with a run game at all, to play that sort of bully ball. I mean, 83 or 81 yards over the entire night, and James Cook basically doing nothing for you. You're not going to be able to play that sort of a football game.
Yeah, that's not going to work out. Josh Allen, though, I still believe is a damn good quarterback. My brother-in-law stands by the fact that Josh Allen is the best quarterback in the
Yeah, look, I love Josh Allen. They got to figure something out there because this is a playoff matchup just early in
league.
the year. It's one that we definitely could see down the line.
Yeah,
All right,
World
Monday
Series
night.
probably.
Monday night, we have another doubleheader. First up, Titans and Dolphins. And Titans, Will Levis goes out there. He created a meme. He dove for a first down, which I don't believe they called a first down. And apparently hurt his AC joint. And in comes Mason Rudolph to save the day. And then on the sideline, you get the cryy face, Will Levis, which is really interesting. Mason Rudolph goes out 9 for 17, 85 yards. A better day than Bo Nix. There's your line of delineation. But they're able to put up a good run game. Tajay Spears and Tony Pollard both go out there, get it done. This Titans defense is legit. I think they're pretty damn good. They're showing up pretty well. And the Miami offense has a lot of soul searching to do. Tyler Huntley, I thought might come out and Snoop might show something. 14 to 22, 96 yards, obviously better than Bo Nix, but not very good, including a lost fumble. And again, you got all this talent out there, both at running back and at wide receiver, and a relatively easy offense for quarterbacks to fit into and not getting any sort of real good production out of your receiving game. McDaniel said as much that, they need to make changes. Huntley is going to remain the starter next week, but they need to start making some changes offensively to figure things out.
I'm not sure that this Dolphins team has an explosive play since Tua went out. Explosive plays of over 20 yards. I'm not sure that they have one.
Yeah, I don't know that they do.
They cannot stretch the field vertically, horizontally, in any fashion. But here's the thing is, why could they do that with Tua? Tua didn't have this exceptional arm strength. So I don't understand why this offense can't get a little uptick. Are they so nervous about what could happen that they're not attempting to run a similar offense? Because Tua didn't have this otherworldly arm strength.
Right. This might have something a little bit more to do with defenses and the way that defenses are playing Miami, knowing that they are very, very fucked at the quarterback position and they can just kind of fire at them. The offensive line is nowhere near as good as it was last year. Losing Robert Hunt and guys like that, Connor Williams at center. So the offensive line isn't as great. You're not going to be able to see as much scheming from that offensive line as you did before. And then on top of that, you have a quarterback that's back there, inexperienced, not as queued up with the playbook. They're able to be much more aggressive against the pass game, specifically the quarterback, and they're not establishing a good run game right now because so much of the focus is, hey, we can just stop this run, and then when it gets to passing downs, we can go balls to the wall at this guy, and they're not going to be able to get it. You bring up a good point. Like the difference in arm talent between Huntley and Tua isn't astronomical by any means. You would think that they'd be able to, with some good decision making, be able to make shit happen.
Yeah, I don't understand what's happening with their offense, but they're not very good without Tua. There no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
But this was the game that most people turned off when Mason Rudolph went in because a good game was going on with the Seahawks and the Lions. Lions ended up getting the win in this one, 42-29. Seahawks did show a little bit of life late, but big game from Jared Goff, a record-setting style game, 18 for 18, 292 yards, 2 touchdowns, and he caught one as well in the Detroit version of the Philly special with a pass from Amon-Ra St. Brown. All around good game from this Detroit team. Not much to write home about other than they definitely could use more pass rushers. They missed out on that this offseason. But other than that, the defense performed pretty well. They were playing a very, very aggressive. I mean, Terrion Arnold got so many penalties for how aggressive he was playing in pass defense, but it was just causing tons of problems for Seattle Seahawks. DK Metcalf has that unfortunate fumble where he's like an inch away from having the knee down. There's some things went bad for him there. The Seahawks are a good team. They showed life. They showed that they were 3-0 for a reason. But when things don't roll your way, when you go up against a very strong team like this Detroit Lions team, they're going to be put in their place a little bit.
Jared Goff was perfect, man. And I got to tell you, there is no doubt in my mind that the Lions can win a Super Bowl with Jared Goff playing quarterback. He could do it. Well, there was a big thing around Jared Goff. Got there once. It was because of McVay, and Jared Goff can ball. And Jared Goff can ball when he plays inside. Super Bowls are always fucking inside. If this team can get there, they can absolutely win. The defense, would we like to see it play better? Absolutely. Less penalties for sure. But this offense is good enough. It is balanced enough right now as well that they can win a Super Bowl with Jared Goff without any question in my mind. And this Seahawks team is pretty good. It's kind of sucked to see Charbonnet become an afterthought after a good run that he had when Kenneth Walker came back. Kenneth Walker obviously had a great day, 3 touchdowns. Seahawks are a good team. They will be around. I expect them to make the playoffs. They could be competing with the 49ers team if they can't, overcome some of their injuries for that NFC West title. But the Lions they're a damn good team, man. I'm very high on the Lions, and I'm very high on Jared Goff right now.
It's tough to lose when you're perfect.
Yeah. He was fucking perfect.
And that wraps it up for
game ball, though.
No. That wraps it up for our week 4 NFL recap. Now we got 2 games to go over for this coming week. We have our Thursday night game, and we have our Sunday morning game out in London town. And to me, these are I don't need to look at very much. These are 2 of the easiest picks, in my opinion. We have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Atlanta Falcons. Falcons are favored -1.5. I don't really need to go into too much here. I'm taking the Bucs plus the 1.5 all day. Tell me why I shouldn't.
Oh, I can't because, listen, we're going to see primetime Kirk Cousins, Thursday Night Football. And I have to give up points? Get the fuck out of here. Give me the Baker Mayfield. Is Baker Mayfield playing, right? Yep. Baker Mayfield led Bucs plus the points. And I think the fucking Bucs probably win this division. They look like the most complete team in that division right now. There's no reason to take the Falcons. It's the Bucs plus 1.5.
Yeah. And then for me, my Vikings are the home team out in London playing against the Jets. And the Jets, as we know, just lost in a 10-9 game versus the fucking Broncos. Aaron Rodgers saying that he's got a swollen knee. That's probably not going to be fun for the plane ride over. I don't know if ayahuasca can fix that or not. You got Garrett Wilson getting upset. Look, Jets have a decent defense. They could use some more pass rush help. Their pass rush doesn't really scare me. Jermaine Johnson out. Obviously, their trade with the Eagles did not work out, but they've got good defensive backs. Aaron Jones should be able to have a good game running the ball. Sam Darnold is just going to continue doing Sam Darnold stuff. And our defense, I think Flores is going to be able to cue some stuff up for an Aaron Rodgers who is less than mobile. That offensive line is suspect. They have one top-tier receiver in Garrett Wilson that we can focus on locking down. And I bet you Flores gets a little bit of ass this week in practice for how much points we gave up, being like, that's not us. Let's go fucking put a stamp over it.
Gotta finish
on this one. And an opportunity for us to be 5-0 on the year going into our bye week. I feel like we are going to be playing very strong, very hard for this one. We've gone to the UK a lot, including under KOC. We know how to appropriately prep for this. So I'm dropping the points from my Vikings on this one easy, in my opinion.
Yeah, Vikings minus 2.5 for me too, man. You said it all. I don't need to go much farther into it. It makes no sense to take the no, Jesus Christ, not the Packers, the Jets. Fuck Aaron Rodgers and the
And
Packers
now
and the Jets.
the two parts of this that are the get right or revenge game thing, right? Sam Darnold. He was fucked over by this franchise. And I bet you it's going to feel really good to him to take it to this franchise. And it's a little bit easier to do that because you're not having to do it in New York. Bring back bad memories or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Right. We also have another quarterback that has one out against this Jets team, and that's Kevin O'Connell. I don't know if you've seen the Hard Knocks footage of Kevin O'Connell being cut by the Jets when he was a quarterback for them.
I did not. No.
No, they didn't even let him sit down at the table before they said, "Yep, you're cut." And you just weren't what we wanted from you. Like we expect you to be our long-term backup, and you weren't that. And Kevin was very nice and said, all I could ask for is an opportunity. I appreciate the opportunity, and so on and so forth. But this is Kevin's opportunity to get back at his old team for cutting him. So
yeah, I did not know that. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a good game. I expect that game to kind of stink. As long as you guys don't, blow a late lead, I think you guys should probably handle them pretty well. An offense that can't score against the Broncos defense, you guys should not have a problem with.
I really, really hope that's the case. I would love to go into our bye week. I would like to see a good 33-10 game here. That feels about right to me.
Feel very comfortable going into the bye 5-0, beat the shit out of the Jets. Have one more shot at Aaron Rodgers. Oh yeah, that's a great way to go into the bye for sure.
Yeah, I would absolutely love it. But with that, Mike, that wraps up our recap show.
Hell yeah. Well, brother, I appreciate you running the show tonight. Man, it's been a week. Improvements on the bets, but we're not there yet. I feel very, very comfortable about our first couple picks this week, though. Hopefully, we can go ahead and get off to a great start and continue that through Sunday morning. Obviously, we will be coming to you guys live Sunday morning, 11 a.m. Eastern time, as we always do. Evo may be a little bit distracted, depending on how that game is going out there in London town. But I'm excited for Sunday morning, excited for more bets, and excited to talk to you people again. We have had a great following here recently, and we are very appreciative of everybody who tunes into us. Anytime you give us time, we are forever grateful because time is the most valuable asset that you have. So thank you guys very much. If you want to interact with the show, you can go to any one of those platforms below: X, Facebook, TikTok. The call line is open during shows. That is closed now. And then if you guys can go ahead and hop over to the YouTube, please like, share, and subscribe to us over on the YouTube. We will be eternally grateful to you guys. And then if you want to see all of the things that we do, you can go check out the No Sleeves Network with that QR code, nosleevesnetwork.com. A couple podcasts, video game channels, food reviews, and blogs. Veteran-run organization. We are trying to grow, and we love coming to you guys and bullshitting every week. But with that, we're going to get the fuck out of here. Evo, give the people one last word.
Coming for you, Aaron.
Yeah, suck it, Aaron Rodgers. All right, we're going to get the fuck out of here. I'm Mike. That's Evo. This is the Lineman Lounge. We're getting out of here. See ya.